This show is part of OnePlace, a daily network of focused briefings across the stories people follow most.
Welcome to our daily roundup. We are diving into the top legal and crime stories from across the country, bringing you the facts and the latest developments from the courtroom and beyond.
A former Virginia official dies in a tragic murder-suicide.
A Tennessee teen faces murder charges for a brutal stabbing.
Divorce papers may have sparked the Fairfax family tragedy.
A Utah man is arrested after his mother disappears.
A medical student is killed during a charity walk.
Lyft faces a lawsuit after a driver's senseless murder.
A speeding driver kills a mother and her daughter.
An intoxicated driver kills a father of 5 children.
Starting in Virginia, the community of Annandale, Virginia, is in shock following a horrific murder-suicide involving former Lieutenant Governor Justin Fairfax. Police report that Fairfax shot and killed his wife Serena in the basement of their home before taking his own life in an upstairs bedroom. This tragedy is made even more harrowing by the fact that the couple's 2 teenage children were inside the house when the violence occurred. It was actually their son who made the frantic 911 call just after midnight, initially believing his mother had been stabbed. When officers arrived, they discovered the grim reality of the scene, finding bullet casings near Serena, and eventually locating Justin Fairfax with a self-inflicted gunshot wound. Police Chief Kevin Davis described the event as a spontaneous and traumatic fall from grace for a high-profile family.
The investigation has revealed that the couple was in the midst of a very complicated and messy divorce. Although they were still living under the same roof, they were residing in separate bedrooms and had been separated since Serena filed for divorce last July. Just before the shooting, Justin Fairfax had been served with legal paperwork related to the proceedings, which investigators believe may have been the catalyst for his actions. This wasn't the first time police had been called to the residence. Earlier this year, Justin had accused his wife of assault, but home security footage proved those allegations were false. Fairfax served as the 41st Lieutenant Governor of Virginia from 2018 to 2022, a tenure that was previously clouded by sexual assault allegations, which he denied. Now his children are left without both parents.
Next, in Tennessee. In Tennessee, a grand jury has indicted 16-year-old Malachi Harris for the brutal first-degree murder of 13-year-old Savannah Copeland. The details of the case are chilling, as Harris is accused of stabbing the young girl 93 times along a trail near Knoxville. Savannah had reportedly sneaked out of her home in the early morning hours of October 22nd to meet Harris and his brother to obtain a vape. While Harris initially claimed he acted in self-defense, alleging that Savannah came at him, investigators quickly debunked that theory. Savannah was barely 5 feet tall and posed no physical threat to Harris. Evidence suggests he continued to attack her even as she attempted to flee and eventually collapsed. After the killing, Harris and his brother simply walked home, leaving the young girl's body behind on the trail to be found later.
The lack of a clear motive has been particularly devastating for Savannah's family. Her father, Michael Copeland, expressed his heartbreak over the possibility that there may never be a logical answer for why his daughter was targeted. Adding to the horror, Harris allegedly bragged to his girlfriend the next day at school, stating that he had gotten his first body. He also reportedly sent a text message to a friend on the night of the murder, saying the deed is done. Because of the severity and calculated nature of the crime, a judge has ruled that Harris will be tried as an adult. Savannah was a student at Powell Middle School who dreamed of studying forensic anthropology at the University of Tennessee. Her community remembers her as a girl who loved art, her friends, and her family deeply.
Back to Virginia. Returning to the Justin Fairfax case, more details are emerging about the specific triggers that may have led to the murder-suicide. Police Chief Kevin Davis emphasized that the divorce paperwork served to Fairfax just before the incident likely acted as a spark. The documents reportedly outlined a specific date for an upcoming court appearance, which may have intensified the stress of the ongoing domestic dispute. The police were able to gain a clearer picture of the household dynamics thanks to a comprehensive security camera system that Serena Fairfax, a dentist, had installed throughout the home during the divorce proceedings. These cameras had previously protected her from false accusations made by Justin in January, and they provided investigators with crucial evidence regarding the timeline of the fatal night. The footage confirmed there was no prolonged confrontation before the shooting began.
The impact on the two teenage children remains the primary concern for local authorities. Chief Davis noted that the situation was incredibly chaotic when the son called 911, and the trauma of being present in the home while both parents died is immeasurable. Victim services are currently working closely with the surviving family members to provide support. Justin Fairfax had returned to his career as an attorney after his political term ended, but his legacy is now permanently tied to this violent end. The community is struggling to reconcile the public image of a high-profile political figure with the private reality of a volatile domestic situation. As the investigation continues, detectives are meticulously reviewing the home's camera footage and the divorce records to fully understand the sequence of events that led to such a tragic loss of life for this family.
Now, to Utah. In Springville, Utah, 28-year-old Matthew Leonard has been arrested and charged with 2 counts of aggravated murder following the disappearance of his mother, Sarah Johnson, and her friend, John Hendricks. Ironically, it was Leonard himself who initially reported his mother missing on March 26th, nearly a week after she was last seen. However, the investigation quickly shifted focus toward him as police uncovered a pattern of disturbing behavior. Just weeks before the disappearance, Leonard had been arrested for electronic communication harassment after sending dozens of threatening messages to his girlfriend. This led to a protective order being filed against him. As police looked into the missing persons report, they received information from Johnson's father that a granddaughter had received a text claiming Sarah Johnson had been shot. This tip led investigators to execute a search warrant at the family home.
The search of the residence yielded gruesome evidence that contradicted Leonard's claims. Detectives discovered bloodstains embedded in the grooves between flooring planks in Sarah Johnson's bedroom, suggesting a violent struggle had occurred. Witnesses also came forward, reporting that they had heard what sounded like gunshots coming from inside the house on the night of March 20th, which was the last time the victims were seen alive. Despite the lack of bodies at the time of the initial arrest, the physical evidence and witness testimony were enough for prosecutors to move forward with murder charges. Leonard had been acting increasingly paranoid in the days leading up to the incident, according to police records. The community is now waiting for more information as the search for the victims' remains continues, while Leonard remains in custody facing the possibility of life in prison.
Moving to Tennessee. A tragic case in Memphis has reached a resolution as 28-year-old Jackson Hopper was sentenced to 40 years in prison for the murder of his ex-girlfriend, Ellie Young. Young, a 22-year-old medical student, was participating in a breast cancer awareness walk at Shelby Farms Park when Hopper tracked her down. In a calculated and brutal attack, Hopper shot Young 5 times in the parking lot. Surveillance footage then showed a chilling moment where he turned around, walked back to her body, and fired a 6th shot. The medical examiner confirmed that all 6 shots were directed at her head. Hopper pleaded guilty to second-degree murder as part of a deal that spared the family from the trauma of a full trial. Judge Carlin Addison acknowledged the immeasurable devastation caused by the crime during the emotional sentencing hearing held this week.
The prosecution and the family's attorney emphasized that while no amount of prison time could truly provide justice for the loss of such a promising young woman, the plea deal offers a sense of closure. By avoiding a trial, the family won't have to view graphic crime scene evidence or relive the specific details of the murder on the witness stand. Ellie Young was remembered as an amazing person with a bright future in medicine, and her family can now focus on celebrating her life rather than the legal proceedings. Hopper's own defense attorney admitted the gravity of the tragedy, stating that this was a case where everyone wishes they could turn back the hands of time. Hopper will serve his 4-decade sentence in a state correctional facility, ensuring he remains behind bars for a significant portion of his life.
Next, in Texas. The family of a murdered Lyft driver in Texas has filed a significant lawsuit against the ride-sharing giant, alleging gross negligence. 27-year-old Philip Kim was lured to a location in Harris County by a rider using a fake identity, where he was shot and left for dead on the side of the road. The assailant then stole Kim's car, only to crash it a few blocks away. The lawsuit claims that Lyft was fully aware that gig workers were being targeted in that specific area, as 2 similar armed carjackings had been reported just days earlier. Despite this knowledge, The company allegedly failed to warn Kim or take any steps to protect him from the known danger. The legal complaint argues that Lyft's decision to dispatch Kim to a high-risk location without disclosure directly led to his senseless and preventable death.
18-year-old Anthony Perkins has been charged with capital murder for Kim's death, along with charges related to the previous robberies mentioned in the lawsuit. Police believe 2 other minors were involved in the carjacking, one of whom is still at large. The Kim family's legal team is focusing on the corporate responsibility of Lyft, stating that the driver paid the price for the company's greed. They argue that Lyft owes a duty of care to its drivers, especially when patterns of violent crime are identified. This case highlights the ongoing safety concerns for rideshare drivers, who often work in isolation and have limited information about the passengers they pick up. As the criminal case against Perkins moves forward, the civil suit seeks to hold Lyft accountable for what the family calls an affirmative action that caused a fatal assault.
Now to Colorado. In Aurora, Colorado, 19-year-old Olvin Lidinis Carcamo Meza has pleaded guilty to 2 counts of first-degree assault following a horrific high-speed crash that claimed 2 lives. The incident occurred in the early morning hours of July 20th, when Carcamo Meza, driving a black Audi, sped through a red light at a staggering 121 miles per hour in a 40-mile-per-hour zone. He slammed into a Hyundai sedan carrying 37-year-old Mayra Zapata Ramirez and her 16-year-old daughter, who were just finishing their shift delivering newspapers. Both the mother and daughter were killed instantly at the scene. The impact was so severe that it also damaged a third vehicle stopped nearby. While Carcamo Meza survived with serious injuries, the lives of a hard-working mother and her teenage child were cut short by his reckless decision to ignore traffic laws and speed limits.
The plea deal resulted in the dismissal of vehicular homicide and child abuse charges, but the first-degree assault charges carry significant weight. Carcamo Meza now faces up to 40 years in prison, when he is sentenced on June 1st. Investigators noted that while speed was the primary factor in the crash, they do not believe drugs or alcohol played a role. This case has sparked outrage in the Denver area due to the extreme speed involved and the innocent nature of the victim's activities at the time of the collision. The Zapata Ramirez family was simply trying to make a living when they were struck by a driver showing total disregard for public safety. The upcoming sentencing will be a pivotal moment for the community, as they seek justice for a mother and daughter whose lives were taken in a matter of seconds.
Finally, in Nevada, a devastating DUI crash in Las Vegas has left 5 children without a father. 48-year-old Joshua Baker was sitting at a red light on his Harley-Davidson motorcycle when he was struck from behind by a Jeep Renegade driven by 64-year-old Waymon Wells. The force of the impact was so great that Baker was hurled into the air and killed instantly. According to prosecutors, Wells was rushing to a casino to place a bet at the time of the crash. Even more disturbing is the toxicology report, which showed that Wells was under the influence of a cocktail of substances, including cocaine, benzodiazepines, and multiple forms of marijuana. Wells reportedly failed to even attempt to slow down as he approached the intersection, hitting not only Baker but also another vehicle idling at the light. He now faces charges of DUI resulting in death.
The Baker family is understandably devastated and angry. Joshua's sister expressed her heartbreak on social media, stating she is done with motorcycles forever after losing her brother to such a preventable tragedy. His wife, Renee Barber, spoke about the void left in their lives, emphasizing that 5 children are now fatherless because of one person's choice to drive while intoxicated. Wells has a history of legal issues, including 2 previous misdemeanor convictions and open traffic citations, and is currently being held on $500,000 bail. The family's attorney pointed out that this wasn't just an accident, but a series of conscious choices made by Wells that day. As the legal process begins, the focus remains on the immense loss suffered by the Baker family and the ongoing dangers of impaired driving on Las Vegas roads.
That wraps up our briefing for today. Thank you for joining us as we navigate these difficult stories and the pursuit of justice across the country.
Be sure to follow us for your next daily update. We will continue to bring you the latest developments on the cases that matter most. Have a safe day.